treason, sedition, and insurrection. How do they apply to presidential power? The U.S. Constitution and federal law provide clear definitions for crimes against the government, such as treason, sedition, and insurrection. But how do these laws apply to the president? Could a president committing unconstitutional acts, such as unlawfully creating a federal agency, be charged with one of these serious offenses? Could a president's actions be considered treason? No. Under Article 3, Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution, treason is strictly defined as levying war against the United States, or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. For an action to qualify as treason, it must involve actively aiding a foreign enemy or waging war against the U.S. Even if a president abuses power or violates the Constitution, it would not meet this standard unless they were directly assisting a hostile nation in an act of war. Example of treason. If a president were to secretly provide military intelligence to an enemy state during wartime, it could be considered treason. Maximum punishment. Death penalty, in extreme cases, life imprisonment, with a fine, minimum of 5 years in prison. Could it be considered sedition or insurrection? If treason does not apply, could a president's unconstitutional actions still be considered sedition or insurrection? Sedition. Conspiracy to undermine the government under 18 U.S.C. Section 2384, seditious conspiracy. Sedition involves conspiring to overthrow, oppose, or hinder the government by force. Key elements of sedition. Checkmark encouraging rebellion or resistance against the government. Checkmark plotting to disrupt government operations by force. Checkmark does not require direct violence, just the planning or incitement of it. Example of sedition. A group conspiring to attack a government building or inciting an armed rebellion. A president encouraging illegal resistance against Congress or the judiciary. Maximum punishment. Up to 20 years in prison. Fines, determined by the court, however, simply overstepping executive authority, e.g., unlawfully creating a federal agency, would not likely meet this standard unless it was part of a deliberate attempt to overthrow the government. Insurrection. A violent uprising against the U.S. government under 18 U.S.C. Section 2383, rebellion or insurrection. Insurrection involves actively engaging in or supporting a violent uprising against the government. Key elements of insurrection. Checkmark actual force or violence against the U.S. government. Checkmark open rebellion against lawful authority. Checkmark organized military-style resistance. Example of insurrection. A group storming a government building to seize power. An armed militia declaring independence from the U.S. government. Maximum punishment. Up to 10 years in prison. Fines, permanent disqualification from holding public office again. While a president violating the Constitution may commit an abuse of power, it would not be considered insurrection unless they actively led or encouraged an armed rebellion against the government. More likely consequences for a president instead of being charged with treason, sedition, or insurrection. A president who unlawfully creates a federal agency or violates the Constitution could face small diamond impeachment. Right-pointing arrow. Congress could remove them for abuse of power. Small diamond obstruction of Congress. Right-pointing arrow if the president blocks oversight or ignores subpoenas. Small diamond criminal charges after leaving office. Right-pointing arrow federal officials can face prosecution for unlawful actions once out of office. Small diamond federal court orders. Right-pointing arrow courts could declare the action unconstitutional and order compliance. What comes next? While extreme criminal charges like treason and insurrection are unlikely in cases of executive overreach, the checks and balances of impeachment, legal rulings, and congressional oversight serve as the true barriers against presidential abuses of power. But what happens when a president is impeached or forced from office? What legal and political challenges arise? Stay tuned for the next article in this series, where we'll explore the consequences of impeachment and what happens when a president is removed from power.